Father Time catches up with all of us, but Grigor Dimitrov fought it off for another year to finish in the top 10. Great run there in Miami. He's at this place where he's kind of done it all. Career high 3 in the world. One World Tour Finals, has won another Masters event in Miami. No Grand Slam semifinals of Grand Slams, Wimbledon, U.S. Open, et cetera, et cetera. He's a star. Everyone loves him. He had a great year. And does he have the firepower? And this is for everyone. It's an impossible question because it's like, I'm right, but like, what are we asking? Can he knock off a Sinner? Can he knock off an Alcaraz? Is he going to be consistently better than a Medvedev? Don't know. And that should take nothing away from the year he had. He was inspirational to watch in 2024.
Yeah, well said. This player turns 34 years old before Roland Garros, and still in the top 10, an achievement in itself. I don't know. Are we predicting him to win his first major in his mid-30s? Perhaps not, but yeah, a lot to like here. A lot of match wins, and one of those guys who just, people enjoyed his presence and enjoyed his game when he broke through the misfortune of the nickname we've spoken about in the past. And you know what? In his mid-30s, he is no less delightful a presence. So good for Grigor Dimitrov, and long may it continue.
You tell Alex de Minaur at the beginning of the year that you're going to be participating in World Tour Finals, and he's going, you know what? Fantastic. Guy is an uber competitor. Gets the most juice out of every squeeze. Does he hit it harder than anyone off the backhand side? No. Does he serve people off the court? No. Is he lightning fast? Yes. Is he the old school Aussie Hewitt Rosewall, tough as nails, doesn't care, how he gets it done, just wants to get it done in the rafter mold? Yeah, he is. He's an absolute throwback Aussie in the best of ways. And also, is he, limited in upside against the giants of the game? Maybe. Can he punch them out? I don't know. Can he land some shots? Absolutely. But take nothing away. This guy is a maximizer by definition. I love what I see from Alex de Minaur. Had some issues with injuries this year and still finished at a career high ranking number 9. Nothing but respect here, right, JW?
Nothing but respect. Interesting that Australia gives us sort of the ultimate, the exemplar of overachievement and maxing out your talent, and also the other extreme. It was interesting at Wimbledon. Remember, he plays that match against Arthur Fils, wins, and on match point has this sort of tweaking back injury, and he has this biggest win of his career, perhaps, gets to face Novak in the quarterfinals, and he has this look like he saw a ghost. Well, what happened? He knew immediately this was a serious injury. He didn't play between Wimbledon, between that match and the U.S. Open. So the fact that he had this kind of year and achieved what he achieved and got to the year-end finals and finished in the top 10 and also missed a big chunk, 2,000 level events, it's a real achievement. And this is, we talk about players that other players would do well to try and emulate. Put this guy on your list.
Death, taxes, and Rublev being in the top 10. Maybe gravity, something else that we can rely on. And listen, Rublev is we're having kind of the same conversation, of which I can totally relate to. Is he is an unbelievable player, unbelievable ball striker. Is he an elite mover? No. Is his second serve attackable? Absolutely. But the guy's always in the top 10. And I will not let people be victims of their own success here. Like, he is a great, great, great player who has had an unbelievable career. And he's stuck in this position, and I've read about it because we've talked about kind of the emotional toll that we can see tennis takes on him while he's playing. And it's basically, and I struggled through this not as visibly or as violently to myself, but if you try to care a little bit less, do you lose that edge, right? Do you lose the thing that makes your good weeks really good? The answer could be yes. And so he's stuck in this place where, do I lay off and breathe a little bit more? Or is that a net negative for me if I don't have that edge? Maybe the best version of myself is this crazed, fanatical person on the court. That doesn't get mentioned enough as potentially being true, but I like Rublev. Everyone seems to really like Rublev on tour. Does he blow his gasket? Absolutely. Are there things that he could improve on? Yes. Are there things that separate Alcaraz and Sinner and Medvedev and probably now Fritz? Yes. Is he a fucking really good player? Absolutely. Is he fun to watch? Yes. I like Andrey Rublev a lot.
Yeah. He blows his gasket a lot. Most times, for better or worse, it's self-immolation, self-flagellation, which is different.
Which is a big difference, by the way. Not being an asshole to your opponent, but just taking out on yourself. That's a big difference.
He also played, I was looking at this, I saw 27. I'm like, oh, he's 27 years old. Oh, I'm not looking at the age column. I'm looking at the tournaments played. 27 is a lot of matches. That's a lot of travel for a guy in the top 10, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's like, and you're leaving out every other event, right? Like we used to say, your tournaments are your tournaments, then your off weeks and training. I mean, that's a big load. But he's a worker. He's a tour guy, right? It feels like there's certain guys that are just kind of like always on tour.
Look who's number 7.
Yeah, I mean,
you recognize that name?
It's not. Listen, we're talking about the greatest male player of all time, right? Novak Djokovic at number 7. We're not even going to talk about him being number 7, right? We're going to talk about this year, which basically came down to him making the finals of Wimbledon on one leg, and dummies like me thinking that he didn't have enough time to even play, much less make a final. So greatness personified again. Him winning the Olympics in that fashion at Roland Garros, least favorite surface, without losing a set, is one of the greatest feats I've seen in tennis. Calling his shot, saying this is the one that's most important to me, and then delivering, more impressive to me than if he actually would have won 2 majors this year. The pressure set, knowing it's the last time you're going to play the Olympics. I mean, shit, now he's going to go play the Olympics again, and I'm going to get smoked again.
41 years old.
Yeah, fuck. But I just respect. I don't know how else to state it. Maybe the most emotional I was watching a match just because of the respect swelling in my chest as I was watching it.
Most athletes try to deflect and reduce pressure, not surprisingly. I mean, you said it. He called his shot. This is, for all intents, this is going to be his last chance of gold. And for months and months in advance, he pinpointed this and spoke publicly of this is what he was building his year for. I mean, just like play this out as though you were scripting it. At Roland Garros, he ends up winning the match, but in the process, he has the meniscus injury at the same event where they're holding the Olympics. He doesn't know if he'll play Wimbledon, but oh yes, of course he can, and actually gets to the final, loses to Carlos Alcaraz for the second year in a row. Then he goes to Paris, to the same venue, the same court where he had this injury. He plays Rafa off the bat, like a who's scripting this, beats Rafa, and he just keeps winning and winning, finally gets to the final, the gold medal match, and who's on the other side of the net? Oh yeah, Alcaraz, the guy who just beat him at the last event they played. And he just wasn't going to leave the court with a medal colored anything other than gold. I mean, I saw the convulsive sobs when he won that match were something I'll never forget. And yeah, if you said to Djokovic a year ago today, if you'd said to him, hey, got good news and bad news. The bad news is you won 3 majors in 2023. You're going to win 0 in 2024, and you're going to have a knee injury. And he says, oh, gee, what's the good news? You're going to win gold medal, and Serbia is going to toast you. He'd say, where do I sign? And that's what he did. I mean, this statistically probably the least successful year he's had in almost 2 decades, and yet he would sign up for this. And that gold medal that's my sort of enduring tennis memory of 2024 was Djokovic, Alcaraz, and Novak just saying, there's no way in hell I'm losing. And he didn't.
I think we deal, it turns it up when it matters. And I think the will to win, everyone wants to win.
Meet the moment.
Yeah, but it's harder to do that. A lot of factors. He willed himself to that gold medal. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and oh, by the way, beating who was at that moment the current best player in the world who had just come off of 2 majors. Willed himself to win. It was one of the most impressive victories. And I told him this, I saw him in the locker room at the US Open. I said, of all your victories, when you're in full flight, those are one thing. Struggling physically, mentally, the lead in, the whole thing. I said, maybe the most impressive tournament I've ever seen from you, which is obviously when you're talking to someone who's won, dozens in dozens of majors is quite a statement, but I fully feel it. 2025, we're almost at the who cares, because I don't like, he's done what he's done. Is he going to be able to pare down the reps, play less tournaments, and still compete for majors? We will see. It didn't really work this year in the majors. Did work at the Olympics. Pairing with Andy Murray will be endlessly entertaining. It'll give us knuckleheads something to talk about. And I don't say who cares as if no one cares. Obviously, everyone cares about Novak Djokovic and how he's playing tennis. I'm just saying his legacy is set in stone. Whatever he does from this moment forward doesn't affect that legacy, except if it's positive, right? There's no, if he goes away and doesn't win another match for the rest of his life, it doesn't do anything to his legacy. Not a single thing. It's only upside from here for Novak Djokovic. But that balancing act, this is the first year in a long time where he's going into it saying, I'm probably not the best player in the world as it currently stands, and I might not even be one of the two best as it currently stands. You know, the couple of guys named Roger Rafa, he's dealt with that before, but on the way up as opposed to kind of on the sunset of his career. But nothing but respect for Novak. That Olympics was, I've run out of superlatives for it. I could do an entire show about that. Now we'll go to Casper Ruud, 6th in the world, one of the most underrated players. We take him for granted, has been a 3-time major finalist. This year he wins over 50 matches again every week. What does he need to do to make that next step? We know he's one of the best players in the world on clay. He has 3 or 4 results off of clay every year that are really, 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 really good. Makes the World Tour finals every single year. We don't talk about it enough. Is he going to be able to up the pace on his second serve a little bit? In World Tour finals, we saw him stepping in on second serve returns a little bit. Can he differentiate? Can he take his backhand line? 90% of them to this point in his career have gone cross court. Can he mix it up a little bit? Simply, if the best players in the world know what's coming next, it's like Barry Bonds sitting on a fastball, right? Casper Ruud has to show a little bit more variety in his game on top of that forehand, which is all world as far as action and jump off of the court. But just another great year for him. He's 6th in the world. Again, he's there every year. And I hear a million pundits and dumbasses go, well, he's not going to be in the top 10 next year. And then he does it again and shuts everyone else up. This guy is a great player.
We've moved past the, is this a fluke? Is this deceptive?
No,
I mean, I think this has moved into the, it's a little crass, but I think the comp might be a little David Ferrer, where there's a lot of admiration. This is a talent ringer. This is not someone who's leaving anything on the court. It's just, does he have the weapons? Does he have the forcefulness? Does he have the assertiveness? Does he have the pop to compete with a Sinner? And I don't know, if you're coaching the guy, what are you telling him to do to beat a Sinner as Zverev and Alcaraz?
Has to up the risk profile when he plays those guys. Yeah. Like, keep your lock set, but you have to be able to come out of your shoes on a second serve return. Even just the bluff of moving up return positions. He made the semis of World Tour Finals, won 2 matches, and he was taking a little bit earlier. Serve and volley, even if you're not good at it, just to give people, if they know they can drift back 17 feet on your second serve and find your backhand, like, you have to shift it a little bit. You have to make them think of something a little bit different. Maybe you get to the forehand where you absolutely come out of your shoes and rip it a little bit earlier in the rally. There's something that has to happen where you have to be able to up your risk profile a little bit when you're playing the greats of the game, and all the while not losing your stock offering when you're playing someone who's 40 in the world, because you've been great at that. You've won the matches that you're supposed to win for a long time, which is, by the way, one of the most underrated things